Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us here live on USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Roland, and you can hear from my accent, I'm not a Native American speaker. I'm an Austrian. I'm broadcasting here as an expert correspondent from Europe. Yeah, you're joining USA Global TV and Radio, the Mallorca Connection. And for those of you who are the first time joining us, why Mallorca Connection? Well, actually, a little bit more than 3 years ago, we started with the show, and at that time, my home base was on the island of Mallorca. That's why we called it Mallorca Connection. So nothing fancy around that. But in my show on Mallorca Connection, I always try to get interesting people with interesting backgrounds, insights, knowledge, experience, and to share with you, so maybe you can learn something new for your business, for your lifestyle, for your health, for whatever. So I'm very, very happy that today we have another amazing guest. And before I introduce my guest, a little bit about myself. So I'm a mentor, I'm a speaker, writing books at the moment. Actually, my background is I've been delivering and I'm still doing for international big tech companies worldwide trainings in sales, marketing. Here's my website, but also in leadership. I had the chance to coach incredible, amazing international CEOs of big companies all over the years. And beside that, I started working with men's groups. I'm very into supporting men to become their really masculinity, bringing their masculinity back, so be more balanced and be more happy, successful in business, but also be more happy in their relationships. And I'm very engaged also in the health industry. So together with the founder of this show, we do the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle show and many, many other things. So if you missed something, maybe you go on our YouTube channel and first of all, subscribe, hit the bell. There are hundreds and hundreds of recordings of our live shows. Get a look at that and find it out. Yeah. So you find an amazing information. And here on USA Global TV and Radio, it's not about news, general news you find on Muslim Radio. It's more about education. It's about sharing and caring without finger pointing. So let's get started today. Actually, we have again, like last week, David Lyon as a guest. He's joining us also from Europe, from Austria. Last week, we have been talking about conscious business, how to be successful in a conscious business in 2025. And today we dive even deeper and we're going to talk about authentic marketing. What do you need as an authentic marketing to have a successful 2025? So let's welcome from Austria, David Lyon.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hello to all the listeners and viewers.
Hi, David. Great to have you back. I think I was listening to the recording 2 days ago of our last show, and it was really very cool insight what you shared about conscious business, about spiritual entrepreneurs. And as I already mentioned, today we dive even deeper. So guys, for those of you who joined the first time, if you want to know more about David, please go on the recording for the show before, because today I want to start directly into our topic, authentic marketing. Right. So Dave, what is authentic marketing in general?
Well, so again, there's probably different people using the term in different ways. The reason why I use authentic marketing is because I think many of us have a negative association with the word marketing. Like, it's the idea that we're trying to manipulate people and we're trying to like make people believe that they need something that they actually don't need. And for me, authentic marketing is I provide a service that I feel called to bring to the world, that I'm really passionate about, that I know that for the right people, it will change their lives. And the authentic marketing piece is I step out and I show myself in the world, however that is. For me, for example, it's having a strong social media strategy, but it can also be, having a newsletter, showing up on YouTube. And I show myself authentically, meaning I'm not trying to like hide myself or create a persona that's not me. Like, I show up as I am, and I have deep empathy for my target audience and my ideal client. And we'll talk about empathy later on. But basically, I create a bridge between where my ideal client is, where our target audience is, and where they want to be. And I find a way to bring across that the offer that I have, or the different offers that I have, are a way for them to get to where they want to be without being overly pushy, without manipulating people, basically being out there to want to be a benefit for other people and for life at large. So that's how I use authentic marketing.
Thanks. Well, actually, you answered totally the question. We can go to another topic. No, just kidding. No, we're gonna dive. We're gonna. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna dive deeper. You said something. Is authentic means that you have a passion for a service or a product. You want to bring it to the market, support people, and you said to the right people. There's also very important to the right people. Okay, so maybe let's start with the service, with the product, with the right people, and I guess before, how important is that somebody wants to start a business, or even maybe do a relaunch in a business, or a transformation, or a transition in the business. To start authentically, I strongly believe it's critical to know yourself, who you are. What is your passion? I guess that's the beginning. So how can people find out themselves who they really are? What is not just a nice to have stuff, but what is really my calling or my passion, or whatever you call it? How to find this out? Because from my experience, most people can exactly tell you what they don't want, but they can't tell you what they want.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, this is a really big question. I'll provide some pointers. So I think one of the most powerful things we can do is to find mentors who are embodying certain things that we want to aspire to as well. And I think we talked about this in the last episode as well, that you want to find someone. So let's say you want to grow your business. You want to find a mentor who not only is successful in business, but is able to balance these things like other things while they're succeeding in their business that are important to you. So I don't want to have a mentor who doesn't talk to his wife, doesn't talk to his kids, is hated by everyone else, but is successful in business, because that is not what I aspire to accomplish. So I think that the most important thing really is to find people who have a certain level of success on the different levels that matter to you, and then find ways to get close to them. I actually yesterday spoke to my partner about this and said, I think this is probably one of my biggest superpowers, is that in the past 10 years, I've always managed to be really close to people I find incredibly inspiring. And that can take many forms. That can mean hiring them. That can mean working for them. That, like there are many ways. That can mean becoming friends with them. There are many ways that we can bring people into our lives. But I've really been dedicated to bringing the right people into my life, and it's really paid off. So that's on the mentor level. And then we can also look at it on the peer level, that we want to surround ourselves by people who have similar values, who believe that it's possible to run a successful business that feels deeply true to myself, where I'm not sacrificing my health or my relationships, but basically like where I can have it all without just being a dreamer, but actually a doer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What are your 5 main, let's call it pillars, where you put the root of authentic marketing? What are 5 main pillars to have a real success, not only authentic, but also successful marketing strategy?
Yeah. So I'll actually start with, I recently did a masterclass where I shared this metaphor of your business is a garden. And so I'll share some of these pieces. I don't know if I'll come to 5, actually, we'll see. But the first thing is having a strong inner foundation. So that's kind of what we were just talking about now, knowing myself, knowing who I am, knowing what I'm passionate about. And then the next thing is being clear about who do I feel called to serve and what can I actually help them accomplish, right? So if I just say I'm a coach and I help people grow in their lives, that's incredibly general, and it's going to be very hard to create a successful marketing strategy around that. But if I say I feel called to support, let's say, highly sensitive people to develop stronger boundaries and be able to communicate them in their relationships powerfully. So if I know that, once I start marketing, once I start putting myself out there and talking about what I'm passionate about, I will be able to be so much more specific. So that's the second thing, is like knowing my target audience and knowing like how can I actually help them? What can I help them accomplish? And then the third thing is creating an offer that if people read it, they understand quickly how this is going to help them, why this is different from other offers that are out there, and like basically what they can expect from working with me. So those are like the underlying pillars. And then when it comes to the marketing strategy, well, let's say then there are 2 more pieces. Then there's a marketing strategy, which I would recommend, unless you're like pretty large and successful already, focus on one channel where you show up consistently. Doesn't matter whether that's YouTube or Facebook, or it can even be some sort of offline strategy, but find one way where you show up consistently, because marketing is so much about building relationships. Okay, so that's the 4th pillar, like finding one channel where you show up consistently. And then the last thing is sales. And sometimes when people talk about marketing, I feel like they include the sales piece as well. I'm going to kind of add it as a separate thing, which is understand how you can guide people from getting to know you, maybe watching a video or reading a blog post, to actually becoming a client. And for me, that's a lot about creating different pathways that people can take. Because just like in dating, usually when you meet someone new, you don't marry them the next day. There is a process that maybe leads up to marrying that person. And the same goes in the sales process. So that might be having some free offers that people can check out for themselves, then maybe having some lower priced offers, or having some sort of discovery call where people can get to know you. So just different journeys for people to end up in the highest level offer that you have.
Yeah, it's very, very important what you say. You call it the different parts. For me, pricing, they call it pricing, or different products offer is very critical. So people can step in, try out for free or on a low price. Then you have a mid-price product where the majority is joining in mostly. And then you have a high-price ticket where you have an immense profit. You make an immense profit margin, but only a few people, like a VIP people or whatever, are joining in. Absolutely.
And just on that point, just to jump in for a moment, Roland, because this is kind of like the traditional value ladder that a lot of people teach, right? Like you start out with a free offer, a lower priced offer, and so on. So what I have found is what has worked for me and for the clients that I work with is to reverse that value ladder and start with the highest priced offer. And then once you have validated, okay, I have an offer that people are interested in, you can start building other lower priced offers around that. And there's a couple of reasons why I find that more effective. First of all, you only need very few people joining your high priced offer, as you said, to be highly profitable. That's different from starting with a $27 offer. You need a lot of volume to make it profitable, or you need a higher priced offer at the back end to sell people into, right? So we need that higher priced offer anyway. And the other cool thing is when you have that large offer, I call it a transformational offer, where we help people reach a transformation that matters to them, we can then take small pieces out of this transformational offer and create lower priced offers. So the cool thing is, like, once that's in place, I don't have to constantly come up with new offers. I can just take small pieces of that and turn it into a mini workshop or a free masterclass or a group training. And then I can say, look, we just explored this piece. This is what I helped you accomplish. If you join my high-end one-on-one VIP offer, this is the whole journey that I can help you accomplish. So just wanted to say that for me, validating the high-ticket transformational offer first and then building around that the lower-priced offers, that's in my experience faster than the other way around.
Absolutely. That's also my approach. Absolutely. And I strongly believe it's easier to sell $10,000, $40,000 tickets than selling $104,000 tickets. It's easier. It's more fun. And as you said, then you can chunk it down, make smaller chunks, and sell it on a lower price. And maybe people will go deeper with you later. Before I want to come back to this, because you mentioned one thing. You said go only on one channel. I also strongly believe that you start, especially in the beginning, for those who are beginners, start with one business, with one product or one service, one channel, and one customer, one niche, and start with this, focus on this, get experience, and then you can broaden whatever it is. How about when it's not running, when your marketing strategy is not running? Because I know some people get a little bit nervous and they try to change everything. What is your opinion?
Yeah, so this is a great point. So I would say we want to change direction if we truly have enough data that what we've tried so far is not working. Because, and I think this is where having a coach or a mentor is really helpful, because sometimes we have really unrealistic expectations. We're like, okay, I'm entering this niche and I have this, maybe it's conscious, but it can also be subconscious of like, wow, it's going to be so great. And in 2 months, I'm going to have 10 new clients and so on. And maybe it takes a bit more time for you to actually see if a certain approach works or not. So I find it important to make sure that you have enough data where you can say, okay, this is what I've tried. And based on the information, the results I've gotten, it actually makes sense to go in a different direction. And because the risk is otherwise that we make very emotional decisions, that we're like, I've tried this for a week and I didn't get the results, and now I feel uncomfortable because I feel like people are seeing that I'm not getting the results. So let me quickly change something. And this, I think, this can lead to us kind of like jumping back and forth between many different things and never being long enough on one lane to actually get the data that can tell us, does this work, yes or no?
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess it's very important that people think about it. Being patient, you don't get the results in the first week or the first month. It takes some time. The same happened to me. I just started with a new product out, and I'm writing about it on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn as my platform, my only platform. And I know from my LinkedIn for my product, because I know LinkedIn members have double income than on any other social media platform. But as I'm targeting managers and entrepreneurs, I know that they're not liking, they're not commenting, but they're observing me, and then they write me on a PN, a personal note, and get in contact with me. So it takes time. So different channels. You have to know how people act there and react there, and don't get crazy when people not commenting. It's not about having 1,000 comments on your post or likes. It's not about bringing value, and then people will approach you by phone or writing your personal message. Yeah,
you gotta actually measure the right things to understand whether something is working or not. And likes and comments are not an indicator for a successful business. You can have tons of engagement, but if no one buys, it's not a successful strategy. And on the flip side, you can have low engagement, at least that's visible, but if the right people watch and they take action in a way where they book a call with you or they buy something from you, rather than like clicking like we want to measure that, right? So very often we're focused on the wrong things, and we're telling ourselves either we're doing well or we're not doing well. And it takes this kind of zooming out and like level-headedness to be like, let me objectively look at the data that actually matters, and from there I can make informed decisions.
Absolutely. And that's very important what you say, because there's a lot of offer on the market. I said people are supporting you, mentoring, whatever, you're having more clicks or more followers. This is nice if you make money from the channel. But if you want to sell a product, it's not about clicks and comments. It's about targeting the right people, or the right people are targeting you. I have a marketing background for many, many years. When I'm 60 now, and I remember when I started in marketing in the corporate time, around 40 years ago, there was no internet, no social media. It was print, newspapers, magazine, it was TV station, it was radio and stuff like that. And when our customers always ask, okay, what's the best approach? And we always said, let's go for a mix, because to be honest, we have no fucking idea. But be as present on every newspaper, on every TV station, on every radio channel, because we have no idea. And I strongly believe it's not about the mix, but whatever you want to choose as a channel. What's your opinion about? Because I strongly believe it's 20% is strategy, but 80% is just trying out what's working. What do you think?
Well, so I'm going to sort of go in a bit of a different direction, but respond to your question. So in my experience, what will be most necessary to run a successful, authentic marketing strategy in 2025 is building relationships. So you're seeing that there's a big trend right now to using AI and like the idea of scaling very quickly, and like running evergreen businesses where you don't have to actually interact with people. And so that's like the overall trend that I see. Like, people want that. And in my experience, the opposite is what's most lucrative, especially if you sell higher priced offers, is you want to build relationships, because ultimately we buy from people who we resonate with, who we trust, who we can associate or identify ourselves with. Like, yeah, I want to be like David, or I want to be like Roland, or wow, the way Roland is living his life, that's something I want to aspire to. So whatever channel you use, just keep in mind that building relationships is what will lead to the most successful business, at least in the long run. Of course, you might have some short-term strategies that can get you some cash in more quickly, because building relationship does take time. So I don't really like, I can tell you my preference. Like, I feel like social media is an incredibly fast way to build relationships, and also to use social proof in the process, because the way that I run my social media strategy, I engage very much with the people who comment on my posts, and I exchange messages with them and so on. And so what it leads to is the clients that are already working with me are also frequently engaging with my posts. And so people in my audience who are not my clients see the excitement of my clients and them sharing their gratitude and so on. So this works really well for me. I mainly use Facebook. To be honest, I think when thinking about what channel should you use, or kind of website or whatever, ultimately find something that you find joy in, that you feel like you can do in the long run. Because we don't want to jump onto some platform because people tell us it's the next big thing, whatever. Let's say it's TikTok, but you hate TikTok and you don't have a good time there. That's going to come across, and you're probably going to quit very quickly. So because I've always used Facebook, even before I became a business coach and a men's coach, I just stayed there because it felt like it was the easiest way to do that. Could it be that there are other platforms with a better algorithm or whatever? Maybe, but I don't really care, right? So I do what works for me, and I double down on that. And I know that if my target audience also hangs out on the same platform, that's something we do need to consider, then you're going to get results regardless which platform you choose.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I strongly believe staying with one platform is important. But what I mean is, with trying it out, is trying out different posts on different timings, using different frameworks, different pictures. Are you observing your posts? What I did in the past when I did more commercials on Facebook, what I did with my team, we have been observing our posts, which post is working, and then we also put an ad on it. Are you using ads too?
So I actually recently played a little bit with ads. My current suspicion is that ads are not the best strategy for me because my ideal client is very skeptical of ads, like even more so than the average person. So obviously when you use ads, you do want to have clear metrics that that you can track because you're actually putting money in. When it comes to posting organic content, yeah, it does make sense to track, but I would say like in the big picture, we don't want to look at like every post and then 24 hours later, like how many likes and comments did this get? Like this is too zoomed in, but we want to be like maybe every 30 days we look through our posts and we say, wow, interesting. Okay, this post worked really well. And then we can form a hypothesis and be like, okay, maybe the topic is really hot, or maybe I shared a specific angle. Maybe I made myself really vulnerable, or I brought on a client testimonial and this got a lot of resonance. So in that way, I think tracking makes sense. But most often my sense is that we're being too zoomed in and we take very little data and extrapolate things out of that are just not in there because it's not enough data. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what you also mentioned before when we talk about authenticity is, as you mentioned, AI. I know that there are some offers outside telling you, yeah, you don't want to talk in front of an audience, you don't want to show up, you can use AI and blah blah. And then, well, if I am a customer, if I need a toothbrush for $2, maybe I will follow you or order. But if I want to buy a high price ticket, I want to see the person. And my own experience is also when I post what I do on a regular basis is on LinkedIn. When I post is when I use a picture with myself on it and a text, it's much better working than I buy a picture, seeing a guy doing the same stuff like I do is totally different. So people want to see me. They want to, as you say, they want to, how do you call it? Yeah, they want to identify with myself and have a feeling or get a certain feeling. Who is this guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's also, say, authenticity or making videos. And it's not about doing expensive videos with a company or hiring and do something very fancy stuff. It's about being clear. And even sometimes, a dog is barking in the bag or something is happening, or people don't care. It's all about authenticity.
Yeah, I find like that this fancy stuff is often actually a way to hide. That it's like an expression of a perfectionism we have of ourselves, of like, this is how I have to be loved on a like personal level or to be financially successful on a business level. And I mean, it's just not my experience because every person knows that they are not perfect. So if I want to identify with someone else, I cannot identify with someone who's perfect or who's pretending to be perfect. There's a gap there. But if I can see, wow, here's a human. And so maybe this is also helpful to kind of break down two sides of what needs to happen in a successful marketing strategy that is like person oriented, where like I as a business owner show up. The first part is this kind of building relationship, building trust, getting a sense of who this person is, what their values are, and so on. The second part is expertise, right? Because I can like someone, but that doesn't mean that I believe that they can actually help me accomplish what I want to accomplish, right? So we have this kind of, sometimes people say like the know and like to get to know someone and to like them. And then there's the trust part, which is, can this person actually help me accomplish what I want to accomplish? And so that's something to keep in mind as well, is we want to find ways in our marketing strategy to communicate that, first of all, we deeply understand the challenge that our target audience has, because people will feel understood and seen, and that kind of vulnerability creates connection. But then also we want to find ways to bring across that we can actually help them change that. And I find generally stories are very powerful, and that can be your own stories, like sharing your own transformation of how you overcame a similar challenge. And it's also really great to use client testimonials. And very often when people use client testimonials, they're using it in a way that is highly ineffective, because if you ask a client who loves you to be like, hey, could you give me a testimonial? They're going to say something like this: David is such a great coach, hire him, which is not what a potential client needs to hear to be actually work with you. He needs to hear, I came into this coaching hoping for this, and in the beginning I was maybe scared, but then through working with David, these are the challenges that we were able to overcome, and now I'm here. Now I've arrived at this point, right? So that people can see, oh, someone else before me has hired David and has actually gotten the results that I was looking to get. So that's on the part of testimonials. And then the last thing is, with bringing across our expertise, there is like there is a way of doing that where we're being really blunt, where it's like, I'm an expert, which usually doesn't work super well. And then there are more subtle ways that we can communicate our expertise, which is, for example, stories or client testimonials, where it's not like, here is why you should hire me, but it's more like in a casual way, you weave in, oh, so I just had this conversation with a client. What's the sub message there? Oh, David is talking to clients. He has clients, right? So we can weave in very subtle ways our expertise without kind of having to put ourselves on a pedestal and having to be like, you should hire me right now because these are my credentials and these are the experiences that I have and this is the amount of people I've worked with. We can do that in a much more subtle conversational way.
Absolutely. I was smiling when I remember, when asking my clients, and also what I do with my clients, when they ask for their clients for a feedback, I always tell them, if they say yes, they're willing to give you a feedback in a written form, or I always ask for a written form and for a short video form, is before they do it, I said, when they say yes, then, okay, can you give me a hint? What are you going to talk about? So yeah. I want to know where they're focused. They're focused because I'm a great guy. They're focused because it was affordable price or whatever it is. So I want to know exactly what I'm going to talk about it, because it's so important, because feedback is an amazing stuff, recommendations, because, successful customers are selling your service. It's not you anymore, but it has to be done in a certain way that makes sense for the new person. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And so the thing is that a client who has already gone through the transformation, they almost like you have to guide them to remember how was it like before you joined, because otherwise they just speak from the point of like, I'm already there. Yeah. But you got to keep in mind that the person you're trying to talk to is not there yet. And so they're speaking from, or they're looking at it from two different points. So that's why it's very helpful to guide clients who are giving you a testimonial very clearly through a process, and really start by like, hey, how did you feel like before you came in? What made you decide to actually join me? Because that's the kind of stuff that a potential client is thinking about. Not how do I, how great does it feel right now? That's great as well, but it's not the only thing that a potential client needs to hear. It has to be like a full story arc.
Okay, yeah. So when we go outside in the outer world, when we show ourselves, our services, our products, it's not always a positive reaction we get. Sometimes we have some haters, we get some people get triggered. What is your tip not to avoid this? Because the more you're outside, the more successful you are, the more negative emotions, the more negative, of course, reactions you get. What is your advice to people, how to deal with this? Would you say, okay, I'm gonna not fight with this person, but I'm gonna try to argue, or you just ignore it, or what's your advice on that?
So I think generally it's good to keep in mind that the more you put yourself out there and the more that you succeed, the more you will experience both love but also hate. That it's just like, it seems to be a human thing to become very skeptical of people who have the guts to put themselves out there. And what that helps me do is understand that in the first place, it's nothing personal. It's almost like, this is something larger that's happening all the time. And I just happen to be right now the person that these like projections and whatever it is, where I'm like the center of attention. Because ultimately, if I see someone who is living a life I want to live, I have two choices. I can take that as inspiration and be like, wow, I want that as well. Or I can find a way to downplay what I'm seeing so that I don't have to confront myself with the fact that this person is doing something that I want to accomplish as well, right? So the one is take it as an inspiration, or the other is put the other person down so that I don't have to have that sense of there's a gap between where I am and where I want to be. The next thing is, I think it's valuable to look at, is the hate coming from people where it actually really matters to you that they like and appreciate you, or is it coming from random people? Because for me, a successful marketing strategy repels the wrong people. So just as much as you're attracting the right people, it's like the flip side of that coin is you repel the wrong people. And that sometimes can look like hate. Like you're putting a position out there. Let's say, for example, from my perspective, like I work a lot with people who have sort of like a hippie background. And some of these people look at money as something evil. And so financially successful people like have a pact with the devil, something like that. And so I'm very clear that if that's your position, all power to you, but I'm not the right person to work with you, because I don't believe that money is evil. And I don't think that you're whatever, like you're part of the evil system if you're financially successful. On the flip side, I think you can do much more good to the world if you're in a financially resourced place. So what I'm trying to say here is getting hate can be a sign of you're doing things right if that hate is coming from people who you wouldn't want to be working with anyway. And then in terms of how do you actually deal with hate coming your way? So first of all, it's your full power and decision to choose what you want to interact with or not. Someone, I don't remember who, shared this image of, like, let's say your Facebook page or any kind of online presence is like your living room. And so if someone just poops in your living room, you don't keep that person in there and engage with that person and like talk about why they did that. You just kick them out. And so you have that same right in your online presence, which is different from constructive criticism from someone who you actually really appreciate. So generally, I'm very picky with who I'm asking for feedback, because most of the time when people share feedback, it's very warped by their own projections and so on. And it takes a lot of skill to provide feedback that is like very clear and generous and loving. So when someone just randomly hates on me, I just delete that. I'm not interested in interacting with it.
Good advice. Yeah, because it to me, it also happens. And what I always do, I'm always sending love. You know, when someone's just a heart, I'm always sending love.
Yeah.
And depending what the content is, if somebody is a criticism, or I give an example, I was posting a text from an American writer and somebody criticized the text that it's bullshit. This can also only came from a very desperate, lonely person, and he meant me. And I thought it was not, I was just posting the text, I wasn't writing it. So I was writing back and I said, I don't know if this American writer is a desperate, lonesome person, but I'm going to ask if it's okay for you, and I come back to you. And there was silence. Or something, I remember on LinkedIn, I was posting something about people, are you still in the treadmill, or you want to have a more freedom lifestyle? And a former client, actually he was not a client, he was sitting in one of my many leadership trainings I gave, and he didn't learn something. He was not willing to change many years. And he was writing comment how arrogant coaches are, because I was sitting in the sun working with a client. How arrogant their coaches are. He was writing because nobody's in the treadmill. How can I say so? And I said, I was writing back to you because I didn't want to lay it there like it is. And I said, no, not everybody feels like like being in a treadmill. But, and then I was adding 2 new news articles from the previous weeks from Capital and from our newspaper, a study showing that more than 50% feel overwhelmed and feeling like treadmill. I said, not everybody, but 50%. So sometimes it makes sense to respond, but sometimes I just ignore it. But I'm always sending out love and a positive energy and a positive frequency.
Yeah, so I think that what you're saying is great. I think ultimately it comes down to a balance of having very clear boundaries without that meaning that you have to be an asshole to the other person.
Yeah.
right? And so some people need to hear more like, yeah, and you can still have compassion for that person. And other people need to hear, you don't have to engage with that person. It's your page, and this person took the time to read through your thing, and like, it's none of your business if you don't want to interact with that. And I think you can be really creative with how you respond. Like I know one coach who kind of like, it's his practice to become really humorous with haters, and like that's a big part of his marketing, that he shares like screenshots of how he engages with his haters. And how he always gets a lot more likes because he finds some witty way to kind of turn around what the person is saying. So there's so many ways to do that, and there's no right way to do that. I think it's really good to just to protect your energy. So to not get lost in, don't try to convince anyone. If someone, so the thing is, like, especially with social media, we never have time to, when we talk about something, to provide like the full context with all nuances. So there's always something that someone can complain about, like, hey, but you missed this part or you missed that part. And if they do it from a generous place, I usually receive it with appreciation. I can say, yeah, you're right. Well, this text is like 200 words long. I didn't have the time to go into everything. But if people are like, why did you talk about this or that? It usually says a lot more about them than about your piece of content.
Absolutely. Thank you. So to summarize it, first of all, guys, when you listen to us and watching the show, is don't take it personal. And secondly, the more successful you get, the more you're outgoing. It will happen. It's normal. It's not just you. It happens to everyone. And you decide how you react.
Yes.
Point. Well, was another cool talk. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights.
Thank you. This was...
How can people work together with you?
Well, there are a couple of different ways. I just finished an extended Black Friday offer, where I have had different offers at sale. Some were like self-study courses. Others were, so this is the second link on here. And it officially ended yesterday. If someone is watching this episode and looks at those deals and is like, wow, I would love that, you can send me a personal message and I'll probably make an exception to extend the deadline until today. There's the Authentic Marketing Vault, which is the first link, where this is like all my best trainings on marketing, on sales, on offer creation in one place. I have a free Facebook group that you can join called the Spiritual Entrepreneurs Hub. And then at the bottom here, this is one masterclass that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on. This is called Develop a Social Media Strategy, where I share how you can show up with more intentionality rather than just posting random stuff and hoping people will buy from you.
Okay. Thanks.
And yeah, you can always connect with me on Facebook. I'm always happy to have a conversation with you. And if you're interested in working with me, I'll be glad to. And if I have a sense that something else is needed for you, I'm also happy to refer you to someone else.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so don't hesitate. Please contact David and find out if you're a good fit for him and if he's a good fit for you. That's always the first thing, finding out if you're a good fit, and then take it from there. David, thanks again. Thanks for joining us. I wish you all the best. Have a good Christmas time and see you. Thank you.
Much love to everyone. See you.
Bye. Yes, this was David Lyon. Second time here. It's always a pleasure to talk to him and have conversation and share thoughts about marketing, and especially authentic marketing and conscious business. So if it was a good learning for you, please subscribe also on YouTube. You have all the recordings there. Also, if you missed the first talk with David about conscious business, you also find it on YouTube, on USA Global TV and radio. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. I wish you all the best. Have an amazing day. Give us a feedback. And we're going to end up with one of our sponsors. Thanks for joining USA Global TV and radio. Thanks for joining. And don't forget, it's all about sharing and caring and supporting each other. So please recommend us to your friends who may get out of value or the benefit from our shows. There are many, many different other shows about different topics. If it's education, if it's health, if it's fitness, if it's traveling, if it's art, whatever it is, check it out. You'll find something that will fit for you and your family. Thanks a lot. All the best, and bye-bye.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.